Yo, we are back with another Ken Follett review. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. That's right, we're going to be reviewing another Ken Follett novel. You know, I reviewed Pillars of the Earth earlier on my channel. I also reviewed World Without End, books 1 and 2 in Ken Follett's freaking awesome Kingsbridge historical novel series. Now we're going to review book number 3, Column of Fire. Let's just do a little setup here. Book number 1, Pillars of the Earth, one of the top 5 best-selling novels in the world. So we already know we're in good hands with Ken Follett because he is the master of historical fiction. It was set in the 11th century England in a made-up village called Kingsbridge, which is sort of representative of Salisbury, near Glastonbury. Where I wear the shirt. I represent the area we're talking about here. Great Britain, Southern England, Stonehenge, Glastonbury. You get the picture. Castles, cathedrals, rolling hills, the English moors, the White Cliffs. We're set. We know where we're at. We know where we're at, right? Visually, we've got it set. 11th century England, Pillars of the Earth. I'll link to that review I did for Pillars of the Earth somewhere on this video, probably near the end. A World Without End takes place a couple hundred years later in the 13th century England in Kingsbridge. Book number 3, Column of Fire, takes place in the late 1500s and through the 1600s. So the 16th century in Kingsbridge. And it follows the families that we have been following, and the descendants of all these characters are, they're here again. Just like in the other books. And just so you know, Ken Follett's 4th book in the Kingsbridge series is coming out in a couple months. I can't wait to get it because it is going to be set 200 years prior to Pillars of the Earth in, the 9th century, when Vikings were raiding all the villages in southern England like Kingsbridge. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome book. So I wanted to reread all these and get prepared for the awesomeness of the 4th book in the series. So let's talk about Column of Fire specifically. It's the one set in the 16th century. We're no longer really in medieval England anymore. We're more in the Victorian area now. We're more in the Elizabethan England. Mary Queen of Scots, Queen Elizabeth. That's the era we're in. It's the era of gunpowder. I mean, America has been discovered. There's trade between. A lot of the plot and stuff hinges on the English, the Great Britain exploitation of the slave trade to America. And a lot of our characters in the Column of Fire are using this as a way to make money, which is a gripping plot point. Ken Follett always pulls out of history. Like in this one, it was the Black Death. In this one, it was just what it was. This one, now we're dealing with just really bad things that happened back in those days. And if you followed my reviews of these other 2 books, I've let you know that Ken Follett pulls no punches when he describes how hard it was to live back in those days. It's not easy. In the medieval times were not an easy place to live. Bad things happened. And 16th century England, it was maybe slightly a little easier, but still a complete crap show for everybody involved. Even the royals. So, Column of Fire. Let's just talk a little bit about what it is kind of about. The main plot thrust is It follows the romance, again, these all start when the main characters are young, and it follows them throughout the course of their life. They're all kind of coming-of-age stories set in historical fiction setting. And Column of Fire follows that same formula, where we meet Ned Willard and Marjorie Fitzgerald, our two main protagonists, and we follow their romance, the ups and downs of their romance throughout the entire thing. But it's not a romance novel. If you know anything about Ken Follett, it has got all the blood, guts, knights, battles, and some of the historical things that we see. I already mentioned the slave trade. We are in all of the royal courts in England. I mean, the Kingsbridge series is set in Kingsbridge. This was set exclusively, The Pillars of the Earth was set exclusively in Kingsbridge. World Without End, set mostly in Kingsbridge, but we did branch out into France and a few places. In Column of Fire, it's still set, a good portion of it in Kingsbridge, but now our characters are going far out into Europe. I mean, they're going to Italy, France, Switzerland, Belgium, even the Caribbean. We're talking about the discovery of America, and with Ned Williams and Marjorie Fitzgerald. And let me talk about Marjorie Fitzgerald, because with the character of Marjorie Fitzgerald, he's setting up some of the family plot lines that take place in his other trilogy, which is the Century Trilogy. So I thought that was kind of cool that he tied this trilogy, which is going to be 4 books actually. He tied his Kingsbridge series with the character of Marjorie Fitzgerald. He tied that into his Century Trilogy. I'm telling you, the Century Trilogy, guys, it's a masterpiece. And I'll review these eventually, all 3 of these. Oh, those are some of my favorite books of all time. But anyway, we'll get to those when we get to them. Let's talk about Column of Fire and Marjorie and Ned Willard and their romance and the adventures that they all go through and the hardships and the family sagas. And like I said, it's Ken Follett. So you got knights, you've got bishops, cathedrals, castles, wars, battles, betrayals, and it's all centered around the slave trade and the Protestant Catholic sort of. All of that stuff is just starting to come to a boil in this Victorian England, in the Elizabethan area. Some of the historical events that he includes in Column of Fire are real historical events. Like he includes the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre. He includes Mary Queen of Scots, her imprisonment and escape from Loch Leven Castle in Scotland. He includes the death of Henry II through the jousting match. I mean, like I said, just because this is mostly built around the romance of these 2 characters, it's a little different than the other 2 books in that it's kind of built. The plot thrust of the whole thing is about the off and on romance of these 2 characters as they go through life. But I'm telling you, we got like the Spanish Armada. We've got Spanish ships. We've got this is the beginning of the gunpowder age. We've got like the jousting deaths of kings. I mean, it is just like Pillars of the Earth, which is one of my top 5 favorite books of all time, and A World Without End, which is a fantastic book. I think Column of Fire actually is a little better than World Without End. Not quite as good as Pillars of the Earth, but I read this when it first came out, and I just re-listened to it on Audible as I was taking a very long car trip. And I mean, each one of these books is like 1,000 pages, so you're getting epic. It is epic. And his Century Trilogy too, they're all about 1,000 pages. So if you just love like Game of Thrones type epic stuff that's set in real places that we can go and visit. And I'm telling you, when I go to England and Scotland, and I've visited some of the sites that are in these books, I mean, that's how much they excite me, I visit them. I do research for my own novels. If some of you have followed my channel, you've seen some of the videos of my research trips that I do to different places. But, I mean, and that's the thing is Ken Follett, his research is second to none. If he's gonna show you the Spanish Armada, by God, you're gonna know what it's like to sail around the Caribbean in a Spanish ship. You just will. If you in a slave ship, you'll know everything about that. You'll know everything about that slave ship. You will know everything about the jousting match where King Henry, you know, you'll know everything about St. Bartholomew's Massacre. And those are just a few of them. There's a lot of historical things that he puts in these books that are real, and his characters are in those scenes, and then they're just, it's great. It's great. Column of Fire, you know what I mean? To me, it falls in between. I think Pillars of the Earth is a straight up masterpiece. I think World Without End is a damn fine sequel. I think Column of Fire ramped it up again. I think it got it like a, you're approaching Pillars of the Earth territory with this thing. And I can't wait. Like I said, I can't wait for the 4th book to come out in a couple months, which is the prequel to everything. Where we get the Vikings. We get the Vikings. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Ken Follett books. And if you don't like historical fiction, like his main thing is historical fiction, he's got about 10 other books that are British spy novels. Not only does he do these great historical epics, he does like some of the greatest, most well-known British spy novels of all time, like The Man from St. Petersburg, Eye of the Needle, Jackdaws, Hornet's Flight, Night Over Water. I could keep going. I got all of them upstairs. I collect this guy's stuff. One of my favorite writers. So, Column of Fire. Book 3 in the Kingsbridge trilogy. Book 4 is coming soon, and I can't wait. Book 4. Oh, what's the name of book 4? What is the name of... Gosh, I just looked it up. Frick. Oh, I just looked it up, and now I can't remember it. What is the name of book number 4? Book number 4. Like I said, if you've been following these videos, you know that the production values, the acting job that I do, it's all Oscar worthy. The cinematography itself is breathtaking. The sound quality of the videos. And on top of that, my memory of the things that I looked up that I wanted to talk about, impeccable. The Evening and the Morning. That's what it's called. I just remembered it. The Evening and the Morning by Ken Follett. Book number 4, it's coming out. It's a prequel to all of them. Can't wait. The Evening and the Morning. I don't know why I don't fire myself. I fired everybody else on the production team. Column of Fire. Let's give it a 9.5, 9.75. Because these historical epics by Ken Follett, man. If you want to be a writer of any kind, here's my bit of writing advice at the end of this. I like to give a little writing advice in all the videos. If you want to be a writer, especially like an epic fantasy writer, study what this man does. If you want to know how to do world building and research, Ken Follett's the stuff you got to read. All right? 9.5, 9.75, Column of Fire.